A very good evening. You're watching Big Bang with me, Shruti. And first up, a happy and relaxed retired life came to an abrupt end in a freak accident. Even 24 hours after the death, none know who is to be held responsible.
The man you see here is 62-year-old William D'Souza. Until a couple of days ago, he was a cheerful old man living with his wife and interacting with neighbors. But yesterday, one such interaction turned fatal for him as he was hit by a wooden board which flew from a high-rise construction site next door.
ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಶೀಟ್ಸ್ ಬಿಸಾಕ್ದಾಗ ಇವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ರಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದು, ನಾವು ಇಬ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೆವು. ಆವಾಗ ಸೀಟ್ ಬಂದು ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದು ಅವರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿತ್ತು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೂಲೆ ಹೊಡೆದಿದ್ದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಎರಡು ಸೀಟ್ ಅವರ ಒಂದೇ ಸಲ ಎರಡು ಸೀಟ್ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬಂದು ಬಿತ್ತು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸೀಟ್. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸೀಟನ್ನು ಎಳೆದು ಹಾಕಿದೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದೆ. ಎಬ್ಬಿಸುವಾಗ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬೇಡ ನನಗೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರು, ಒಂದು ಶಬ್ದ ಮಾತಾಡಿದರು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದೆ, ಬೇರೆಯವರನ್ನು ಕರೆಯೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಬಿತ್ತು, ಚಿಕ್ಕದು. ಮತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಹಾಕಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೂ ಅವರು ಕೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಲೇಡಿ ಬಂದು, ಒಂದು ಹೆಂಗಸು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುವವರು ಬಂದು ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಿ, ನಾವು ಇಬ್ಬರು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವರನ್ನು ಕೈ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಅವರೊಬ್ಬರು ಬಂದು ಎತ್ತಿ ಹೆಗಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ಅವರನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದರು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಹೋದರು.
Now that is what has happened. Now very curiously, this is the building which is under construction. This is the Brigade Magnum. And they have been throwing these sheets from about the upper floor, from about the 8th floor. Now a sheet that comes down at the force of gravity has hit this person, Mr. William, and the person was seriously injured. He was taken to the hospital where he has since passed away. Now the Brigade Magnum authorities really haven't answered the questions, because how could they throw these sheets from up there? And with winds like these, with gusty winds like these sheets can hit anyone down here, and the consequence, as we have seen yesterday, can be fatal.
The builders of Brigade Magnum have allegedly been careless in handling the wooden sheets being used at the construction site. Numerous complaints by the residents of this locality in Amrutnagar have fallen on deaf ears. With none ready to look into the matter, more wooden sheets were left unattended by the workers here. William sustained a fatal injury on his head and a few other cuts and bruises on the rest of his body. He was rushed to the Columbia Asia Hospital. The profuse internal bleeding could not be controlled and William breathed his last yesterday. His family and friends are devastated. They have accused the builders of ignoring their complaints and turning a blind eye to the problems they have caused.
I have told these people two weeks ago on a Sunday. I came here and I called one of those contractors, and I told him, do not throw these the planks here. And they said, don't send your children. That is the answer they gave. We also have a problem with these builders. The mud, the debris, you can see, it's collected like huge, 2-3 lorry loads, and they are not bothered to collect it.
They're dumping it from the other side.
They have just, removed the mud and they have dumped it on our side.
The neighborhood is shaken by this incident. They have demanded the builders responsible for William's death to be pulled up for this incident. While some might call it an accident, others might say that the builders' alleged negligence makes it nothing less than a murder.
All these residents are extremely unhappy, and they have all gathered here. Now the reason is that the builders are throwing all norms to the winds. They are flouting all basic norms of safety, and they are carrying out with their building. Now very curiously, this Brigade Magnum and this RMZ is being built by the same contractor. Now when will the authorities wake up is the big question, because even as people here are gathered, very pained that one person had to pay with his life, the builders so far have done nothing to change the safety norms here, because they have not erected any kind of net or any kind of safety for the residents here. The police have taken up a case, but so far the builders not really providing any substantial answers to the residents out here who are living still under a pall of fear. With camera person Ramu, this is Bansi for News 9.
The recent tragic events would make you think twice about your child's safety in a school bus. We at News9 went out to different schools to check on the safety of the students using these vans on a daily basis. Take a look.
18th June 2014, Chandra Layout. A school bus mowed down 8-year-old Navita right in front of her residence in Chandra Layout. The tragic incident occurred when the little girl walked back to the school bus to pick up her lunch bag. As she walked towards the bus to collect her lunch bag, one of the students dropped it down from the window. Navita, who bent down to pick it up, got trapped under the back wheel. The bus driver did not notice Navita pick up her lunch bag and mowed her down from behind. These incidents highlight a major cause of concern. Are your kids safe in school buses? We decided to go out there on the streets to find out. We considered criteria such as the presence of an attendant or a helper inside the bus, the mandatory yellow color and other internal security aspects.
So if you take a look at this bus now, there is no helper here in this bus who's helping these little kids get down. The kids are actually helping each other get off the bus. Now the driver is still inside. Now you can also see now while the kids are getting down, the buses are moving because this is because of a lot of traffic coming in the back. These drivers also have to make sure that they do not cause any kind of congestion to the vehicles coming back. Now, and just as we talk, another school bus has just arrived here. As you can see, once again, nobody to help these kids actually get down. Now one of the students here is actually being a good Samaritan, helping these little ones get off the buses. As you can see, there's no helper here. The students are absolutely stuffed inside, a lot of students getting down. Now a lot of other vehicles as well, the parents who've come to drop the kids in their private buses or private cars and vehicles have actually parked them here. So the constant movement of vehicles, so somebody to monitor the safety of these students is very important. So that's the situation here at the Bishop Cotton School. A lot of vehicles coming here. The traffic here, one of the biggest risks for these kids. A helper in a bus will be vital in such schools.
While that was the situation when kids got down from the bus, we also took a look at the other safety aspects of a school van.
Working parents, busy parents always depend on school vans for their children to be dropped and picked up. But is the van your child going in safe or not? To find that out, I'm standing in Indranagar in a very popular school called NPS and next to a van which is often used by the NPS students. Now take a look at this van here. The first rule a van should follow, a school van should follow, is that it has to be painted in the color yellow. Now most of the school vans in Bengaluru follow this rule. Most of the school vans in Bengaluru are painted yellow. And the other rule, the small rules which the school van and the exterior of the van have to follow is have two mirrors in the front. One mirror near the driver and one mirror here, so that the driver sees when the child is coming out of the van, whether she's got out of the van, she's going home, or whether she's standing there. So that rule has been followed here in this particular van. It has a mirror here, it has a mirror there. Now one very important factor in a school van is that it has to have a fire extinguisher. I don't see any fire extinguisher here. The third thing is there's no first aid kit. The most important thing in a school van is a first aid kit. And there is no first aid kit at all.
While on one hand, authorized school vans are painted yellow, on the other hand, many private vehicles are hired by schools that do not follow the prescribed mandates. Many a times, it even becomes difficult to recognize the vehicle as a school van. Moreover, the lack of fire extinguishers and first aid kits are another cause of worry. While the school can impose rules on their own vehicles, many school vans are controlled by private parties who even go to the extent of altering seats to fit in more students.
Now, while the Supreme Court guidelines say that an official vehicle has to have an attender, it also says that there is a provision that they need to keep a school bag. Also, they need a provision of an attender to help the children get in and out of the van. Now, these unofficial vehicles, there is no such provision. Now, these are the vehicles. Now, these are the vehicles here. You can see how safe they are. Now, there is this vehicle speed limit device that is called a governor. Now, such a device is important for the children. Now, let's look at the seating in these vehicles. Now, these are the seats. You can see these are mostly makeshift seats because the original seats have been removed. Because these makeshift seats, more children can be seated on this. So the big question is, what about these unofficial vehicles? These are the questions before us, because while many parents prefer these unofficial vehicles because one, they're cheaper, number two, they're more flexible rather than the school vehicles. So the big question is, how do we really regulate the transport of the students to and from the schools?
For some of them, the school van is the only option as they are busy with work and it is most convenient. While a few others are not for the idea of school vans at all and feel it is not safe for their kids to travel in them. We only hope that the schools, the parents and the government come together to make sure the journey to school is made safer for students so that Bengaluru does not have to bear witness to such incidents anymore. Bansi, Deepak and Vivek for News9 Bengaluru.
And well, 2 days after the controversy broke out, actress Shruti has finally spoken up. Shruti has now filed a counter-complaint against her maid, saying that the maid Shobha is making false allegations in collusion with her estranged husband, Chandrachud. Shobha, a maid-servant of Kannada actress Shruti, filed a complaint against her, accusing her of ill-treating and threatening her. Shobha is a resident of Basweshwar Nagar. Other friends of Shruti, Balu and Satish too find themselves in the dock as Shobha alleges that the friends too issued death threats to her. And moving on, a chartered accountant was found dead in his apartment in Bengaluru 4 days ago. The Bengaluru police have finally cracked the case. Take a look as to what happened.
June 15th, Sun City Apartments, Iblur HSR layout. 35-year-old chartered accountant Saurabh Rastogi was brutally murdered. After 4 days, the police have nabbed the murderer. And who was it? Rishwan Chengappa murdered Saurabh. Rishwan Chengappa is Saurabh's colleague. Yes, this was what the police discovered. What happened on June 15th? Saurabh's wife Ankisha was reportedly out of town that day. When Saurabh did not answer his calls that night, she asked the neighbors to check on her husband. The neighbors, finding the door locked, assumed that Saurabh was fast asleep. The police were informed the next day as no one had any knowledge of Saurabh's whereabouts. They forcefully broke into the house and found Saurabh's body in a pool of blood. They suspected that the murder was committed by someone known to the deceased as there was no forceful entry into the house. Bloodstains were also found on the lift buttons. Cops even questioned Saurabh's close aides regarding the incident. They approached Rishwan Chengappa too. Rishwan was a close friend of Ankisha as well. Rishwan's lady friend at office had apparently abandoned him and had gone abroad. It was then that Rishwan developed a relationship with Ankisha. Scared of losing Ankisha, Rishwan is said to have come up with a plan. On learning that Saurabh was alone at home, Rishwan is said to have gone ahead with the murder. Saurabh was murdered because his colleague did not want to lose Ankisha. C.R. Manjunath, News9, Bengaluru.